I don't think marriage should be about money, but there are some people who seem to live for it. My sister-in-law, Selena, is one of them. I never imagined there would be problems over an inheritance when my brother, a surgeon, passed away. My name is Mary Smith. I manage a jewelry store. I'm 31 years old and single. I love my job, but I've been thinking it's time to settle down. My boyfriend proposed to me recently, and now we're engaged. We've met each other's parents, and tomorrow is our big family meeting. Both our parents and siblings are supposed to be there. I have an older brother, Tyler, who is 8 years older than me. He's a well-respected surgeon at a hospital in Tokyo. Not only is he successful, but he's also very handsome. Growing up, he always spoiled me and was very kind. When I told him about my engagement, he teased me like a father would. He said, "You're finally getting married, but I won't accept just anyone as your husband at the family meeting." I couldn't help but laugh. I told him, "Don't worry, he's nicer than you." Tyler looked a bit surprised and said, "Nicer than me?" Tyler has been married for 4 years to Selena, who is beautiful with model-like features. When they're together, they look like they're filming a TV drama. My brother adores her and doesn't mind that she quit her job or spends freely on luxury items like designer bags. He lets her do as she pleases. Selena often skips family gatherings, claiming she's busy shopping for new brand releases. For example, she once said, "I can't make it because Chloe is having a new release today." At first, my parents and I gave her the benefit of the doubt, thinking maybe her looks put extra pressure on her, but her behavior became harder to tolerate over time. Recently, she canceled attending our family meeting at the last minute. Initially, she wasn't interested, saying it was only for close family, but when she found out the venue was at a fancy hotel she liked, she said, "I love the afternoon tea there, so I'll come." Despite this, she canceled the day before the meeting, even though we had already reserved seats for everyone. It was so rude. I wouldn't mind if she didn't come, but I'm tired of always adjusting my plans around her. I tried to tell Tyler, but he's too lenient with her. He apologized on her behalf and promised to talk to her. "I'll make sure she listens to me. Don't worry, I'll be there tomorrow," he assured me. What bothers me most isn't just her selfishness, but also the fact that she makes my brother, a busy surgeon, handle her apologies and run errands for her. Since they got married, Selena became a full-time housewife, and my brother seems to handle everything for her. After Selena married my brother, she never did any housework. She hired cleaners for that, and they mostly ate out at restaurants. She wasn't busy with anything important, but her schedule was always filled with shopping for branded bags and clothes. The next day, the family meeting went well. My boyfriend earned my family's approval, and everything ended peacefully. I thought it was a great meeting, but the peace didn't last long. That evening, I got a call from Selena. As I was telling her that the dinner went smoothly, she suddenly started yelling at me. "It doesn't matter, I didn't ask you for a report. Where are my scones and macarons?" she shouted. I was confused and thought to myself, what is she talking about? I didn't remember her asking for any sweets. I was about to ask, but she interrupted, saying, "Are you even listening? Don't tell me you didn't buy them. You're so careless. You and your brother are both annoying." I honestly didn't think she asked me to buy any snacks, but before I could respond, she went on, "I told you I love the afternoon tea at that hotel. Since I couldn't come, you should have brought me a souvenir, right?" It was as if she expected me to read her mind. I still didn't fully understand, but I started to feel like maybe she had expected me to bring something back. Her voice got even louder. "If you haven't bought them, go get them." I was really looking forward to it. I tried to reason with her, saying, "But the main reason we went to that hotel was for the family meeting, not to get snacks. You had the whole day free, why didn't you go yourself?" She snapped back, "Never mind," and hung up the phone abruptly. I was left feeling drained. I had been in such a good mood after the meeting, but now I felt exhausted. I started to wonder how my brother, Tyler, manages to deal with her mood swings every day. Why did he marry Selena in the first place? Sure, she's beautiful, but she's so self-centered. Maybe she was spoiled growing up because of her looks. I'm really worried about Tyler, but it's not my place to interfere in his marriage. It was his decision to marry her, after all, and he supports my relationship too. The next day, while I was at the jewelry store, I saw someone familiar through the glass window. It was Selena, but she wasn't alone. She was walking arm in arm with a man who looked about her age. Selena is 10 years younger than my brother, so the man she was with must have been in his late 20s. They walked into the store, talking and acting very close. I decided to approach them and asked if they needed help. Selena laughed and said, "Oh my God, you work here? That's hilarious." They both acted like nothing was wrong, with no sign of apology. I nervously asked her, "Who's the man with you?" She casually replied, "Oh, he's from my old modeling business." Even if they were old acquaintances, it still felt strange seeing her arm in arm with another man while she's married to my brother. As I stood there, trying to make sense of it all, Selena leaned over the glass display case and asked, "Can you show me this diamond necklace?" "Oh, and that one too. Do employees get a discount here?" She was talking to me like nothing was out of the ordinary, but I felt embarrassed by how shamelessly she was behaving. I told her we didn't offer employee discounts, even though we did, because I didn't want the man she was with to buy something for her. Selena looked a little annoyed but still picked out 2 expensive diamond necklaces. The man paid for them without hesitation, and they left the store together. I couldn't help but wonder what kind of relationship they really had. Later, I decided I couldn't keep this to myself. That night, I called my brother, Tyler. He sounded worse than usual, like something was bothering him. "Tyler, are you okay? You sound like you're in a bad mood," I said, thinking there might be some trouble with Selena, but I didn't mention what I saw yet. He responded, "No, I'm fine. Mary, you're getting married soon, right? Are you saving up for the wedding?" "I'm saving some money, and I was wondering if you'd want Selena and me to help with the wedding next year." I told him about my wedding plans, but didn't say anything about Selena. He seemed distracted, and his attitude was uncertain. Before we could talk more, he said, "I have something to give you. Let's meet at Mom and Dad's house soon." Then he abruptly hung up without waiting for my reply. I started to worry about him. Tyler is a surgeon, always concerned about his patients' health, but never about his own. He used to joke that it was an occupational hazard, but I knew his long hours and stress were taking a toll on him. I was concerned that Selena, who should be his support, wasn't helping at all. A few days later, Tyler sent me an email about a family gathering at our parents' house. I contacted our parents, and they had received the same message. When I arrived at the house on the day of the gathering, Tyler was already there, but when I saw him, I was shocked. He looked worse than I'd ever seen him. "Tyler, what's wrong with you? You look awful. Haven't you been sleeping?" I asked, alarmed. Both my parents and I were worried about his appearance, but he brushed it off, saying he'd just been busy at work. I couldn't hold it in any longer. In front of my parents, I blurted out, "The other day, Selena came to my store, holding arms with a young man. Is she cheating on you?" "Tyler, are you being cheated on again?" I asked, concerned. Her cheating wasn't new, I'd known about it for some time. Tyler sighed and admitted, "Yes, I've been aware of it, but I'd been so busy with work that I didn't have time to deal with her." My parents were furious when they heard this. It hit me then that Selena hadn't come to today's family gathering. Maybe her absence was the reason Tyler felt comfortable bringing this up now. I asked, "Why isn't Selena here today?" Tyler replied, "That's why I asked you all to come here. I need to ask you a favor." With a serious expression, my brother started telling us something shocking. After listening, we all exchanged worried glances. "Tyler, is this true? Are you sure?" we asked, but his answer was the same every time. 3 months later, Tyler passed away. He had been battling stomach cancer caused by stress and overwork. Looking back, it made sense. He was performing surgeries daily, and when he came home, Selena was there, not lifting a finger around the house or even showing concern for him. Tyler knew what was happening to his body. He had undergone tests after feeling unwell and discovered the cancer. He tried to treat it himself, but it was too late. I wish he had told us earlier. "Why did you always keep everything to yourself, Tyler?" I cried at his funeral, overwhelmed with helplessness. Memories of him flooded my mind, the way he used to comfort me when I was a child, always by my side when I fell or struggled with something. And now, he was gone, leaving the world too soon, not even reaching 40 years old. While I was drowning in grief, there was one person who didn't seem to belong there, Selena. She showed up at the funeral wearing the flashy diamond necklace she had bought with another man's money at my store. It was completely inappropriate for a funeral and made me sick with anger. I couldn't hold back anymore. I turned my sadness into fury and confronted her. "How could you wear something like that? Don't you know how much Tyler cared about you?" Selena, always in a bad mood, smiled at me and said, "What are you talking about? Of course I know. He was too serious and heavy, but it's normal for people to treat me differently. If you don't like it, don't bother marrying someone like me." My parents and I were barely able to contain our anger. I couldn't believe she had the nerve to speak like that. especially in front of my brother's grave. I wished nothing but the worst for her. But Selena continued, oblivious to our pain. Tyler was always so busy, he was hardly ever home, so we were basically done as a couple. But hey, there's one good thing about being married, I get his inheritance now. I can live comfortably for the rest of my life. The moment she said that, I couldn't take it anymore. I tried to slap her across the face, but just as I raised my hand, someone grabbed it. I looked up and saw a man who nervously pulled back once I noticed him. He introduced himself. I'm a nurse. I worked with Tyler. He told me to protect you, the man said. His explanation caught me off guard, and for a moment, I was speechless. It didn't make sense, but it left me with even more questions about what had been going on behind the scenes. As I stood there at the funeral, I suddenly heard laughter. It was strange, why would anyone be laughing at a funeral? When I turned around, I saw some familiar faces among the crowd. They were my brother's colleagues, nurses, and doctors from the hospital. I asked the man who had stopped me earlier why they were laughing, and he replied, the doctor didn't leave any inheritance, did he? Your family knows, right? It was true. My brother didn't leave a penny behind for anyone, but Selena, who had no idea, started to lose control. What do you mean? Stop lying to me. You're all planning to cheat me and keep the money for yourselves, aren't you? Tyler was a surgeon in Tokyo, he must have saved a fortune, she shouted. Her words only made the nurses laugh even harder. At that moment, my father stepped in front of her and calmly asked, you really don't know, do you? Confused and growing impatient, Selena demanded, what? Know what? Explain it to me. So, I told her, Tyler had already distributed his money to me and a few close friends while he was still alive. He had given me 10 million yen as a wedding fund, but over time, Tyler grew tired of the pressures from both work and family, so he spent a lot of money on extravagant parties and luxuries to relieve his stress. As I explained, Selena's face turned pale, shifting from blue to white. Tyler was, by all accounts, a high-achieving person, but to cope with his stress, he spent large sums of money on hosting lavish parties, renting cruise ships, and staying in five-star hotels. He had probably wanted to do all these things with Selena, but she had never been there for him. Instead, it was his colleagues, his nurses and fellow doctors, who supported him. One of the nurses, still chuckling, said, even though he was so busy, Dr. Tyler always took care of us. He invited us to amazing parties that made us feel special, like celebrities. It motivated us to work harder, even when the job was tough. On top of that, my brother had donated the rest of his estate to the hospital. High-ranking officials from the general hospital had come to his funeral to pay their respects, grateful for his generous contribution that would greatly aid their struggling research programs. Selena, on the other hand, was furious. We didn't have kids, so everything should be mine, right? How can you all take it away from me without my permission? You're all thieves, she yelled at my brother's colleagues. I'll make sure every penny is paid back to me. With that, she stormed out of the funeral. 4 months later, Selena called me in a panic. Wait, what do you mean? She blurted out as soon as I answered the phone. She had been trying to sort out Tyler's assets, his mansion and bank accounts, only to find out that he had left behind a significant amount of debt. While 20 million yen wasn't much compared to his earnings, all the money was gone, and Selena, who had wanted the mansion, had already gone through the inheritance process without properly checking everything. Hey, we're family, right? You'll help me out, won't you? She asked, her voice filled with desperation. My response was simple and firm. Tyler is gone, and we're no longer family. If you had shown any care for him, I would have been there for you, but after all your selfishness, how can you expect me to help you now? Panicking, Selena asked, so I inherited both the mansion and the debt? If I renounce the inheritance, I'll have nowhere to live. I coldly replied, inheritance means you take on both the assets and the debts, and as I'm sure you know, it's too late to renounce the inheritance now. It's been more than 3 months. Maybe you should start selling off those brand name items you've collected. Her voice faltered, and the call ended. Selena's life seemed to crumble after my brother's passing. Despite her earlier arrogance, she ended up selling off her jewelry and other luxuries to cover her debts, but it was nowhere near enough. The rumors about her continued to spread quickly through the industry, and I heard from various sources that she was now living in a small apartment above a restaurant and juggling several part-time jobs. Her lavish lifestyle had come to an abrupt end, and yet her debts only seemed to grow, especially given her reckless spending habits. The irony wasn't lost on me. My brother, despite his hard work and success, had used his money to bring joy to others and ease the burdens of those who supported him. Selena, on the other hand, had always spent selfishly, indulging in material things without a second thought. In a twisted way, they had both been big spenders, but for very different reasons. Tyler had always valued relationships and took care of the people who helped him, while Selena only ever cared about herself. It made me reflect on my own life and upcoming wedding. My husband-to-be and my in-laws had been supportive during this difficult time, even suggesting we postpone the wedding to give me time to grieve and heal, but I didn't want to let my brother down. He wouldn't want me to dwell in sadness forever. I knew he'd want me to move forward, to build a life where I helped and valued the people around me just like he did. I promised myself that I would live up to that legacy. Though Tyler is no longer here, I continue to respect him more and more with each passing day. He touched so many lives, not just mine. His colleagues and friends still visit his grave, showing just how much of an impact he had on their lives. It wasn't about the money for them, it was about the person he was: kind, generous, and hardworking. His memory inspires me to live a life full of love and gratitude for the people who support me. As for Selena, I don't feel any sympathy. She's paying for the consequences of her actions now, facing bankruptcy and the fallout of her reckless behavior. I heard she was even entangled with multiple men, some of them married, which would likely bring even more chaos into her life. It's a sad but predictable end for someone who valued money and appearances above all else. In the end, my brother's spirit of generosity and care for others is what endures. Selena may have gotten what she deserved, but I will always carry Tyler's memory with me, and I'll honor him by living a life that reflects the values he held dear.